Was a girl running in our group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford Coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
I'm going to tell you, I got a report here that about CarMax posting record quarterly results. I just told you they were number one in sales. CarMax broke several fiscal first quarter records set in the year before the coronavirus pandemic hit, as the used auto retailers' revenue and earnings soared and booming demand for used vehicles. Well, yes, notice they said their revenue and earnings went up. They didn't say that their sales were fantastic, let's face it. But their revenue went up because every used car now, I gotta guarantee you, you're gonna pay $1,000 too much for every used car you look at, and that's a minimum, because there are none. No good used cars out there. The dealers are even trying to get these guys that are having leases to bring them back early, and they're saying no because you don't have another new car for me to lease. I mean, how can you entice somebody to turn their lease car in when you don't have another one? What do you expect them to do? Walk? Ride a bike? Here, turn your lease car in and walk home. We're going to sell your car. A low mileage used car within 3 years old is premium right now. And if you want one, you used to be able to buy them all the time. When the guys turned in their leases, that was the best time. You run over there, you look at some of these used cars, they were great. Used car lots of dealers always had nice cars on them for sale. Now, they're actually they're telling their people to go on social media and look for people selling used cars and buy them up and bring them to the dealer. They'll pay them $200 to $400 a piece to bring them a car to sell. Well, what does that tell you about the price of the car, Eric? If I'm willing to pay you $400 to find me a car, and then you buy it, so now the price of the car plus $400 got to go right on top of the value of that car. Okay. I mean, what does that tell you about the price of the used car?
It's
high.
It's high. It's really high.
It's high, and it's stupidly high.
And it's unnecessarily. Yeah, exactly. It's unnecessarily high for a used car that, it's been around the block.
You would think an honest company would sell their used cars for what? Well, you got to remember though, if he's paying $400 plus the price, if he buys a $3,500 used car and puts gives $400 to the salesman, that's $3,900 he's got in that car. Now he's got to make $5,400 on that car to get his profit right.
Right.
Well, the phrase is the auto retailers' revenue and earnings soared. Doesn't say their sales soared. They probably sold 800,000 2 years ago, but the earnings on this 800,000 is huge. Net revenue hit $7.7 billion in the first fiscal quarter that ended May 31st. $7.7 billion in a quarter. Hello. Yeah, total vehicle sales more than doubled to 452,188 in that first quarter, the used retailer said Friday, representing a 31% rise from the first quarter 2 years earlier. CarMax bought 341,275 vehicles from consumers in the quarter, which they do. You can sell your car to CarMax anytime you want. Up 236% from a year earlier and 77% from 2 years ago. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. We delivered exceptional results in the first quarter thanks to excellent execution by our team in a high-demand environment. Aha! There, my friend, is the key. The high-demand environment. CarMax's shares rose 6.7% to close at $127.40 on Wall Street Friday. Geez, oh Pete, I like this. In a high-demand environment. In other words, the demand dictates the price. And you, my friend, if you have to buy, I had a little old lady that thought she was going to have to trade her car in because the steering column was no good. I got Chevrolet to cover it for her, but she was so worried about going car shopping. And I got to tell you, for the first time in ages, I was worried for her to find a good used car. They're just not out there. There are some, they're stragglers, but boy, are you going to pay for them.
Yeah, obviously. And I know my dad was in the market of looking for a used new car, sort of kind of around there. The prices they're pretty high, and I think he wanted a Tahoe, and the Tahoe for a used car for 81,000 miles was like up to like $38,000.
I understand.
And it's well, I think it's like 2016.
Yeah, it's 6 years old, 5 years old. It's 5 years old. Got 81,000 miles on it, and they want 38,000.
Almost 40 grand if you think about it after tax.
Almost what it was probably on the window
when
in
it was
2016.
New. Mm-hmm.
Think about that. Just put that in your pipe and smoke it there, CarMax. GM Financial is getting in the game. GM Financial will stop working with non-General Motors dealers July 1st to ensure that GM dealerships have priority access to leased vehicles coming back to the market. In other words, when these leased vehicles do start coming back, you're not going to see them anywhere but on the GM lots. Okay? The General Motors cars. I'm sure the other guys are going to follow behind. They're probably not going to make a big deal out of it, though. The microchip shortage is the primary motivator for the policy change. Yeah, right. A GM spokesman confirmed via email to better support our GM dealers through the current economic environment and the challenges they're encountering sourcing quality pre-owned vehicles. He's right, they have no vehicles. They're out of the pre-owned vehicles. Many automakers have established off-lease policies that prioritize branded dealerships over competitors, and several GM dealers said they support the change. Well, of course they do. They don't want anybody getting those off leases but them. They don't want any financing for anybody else but them, because right now it's every man for himself. They're in a whale of a bar fight. This is the best bar fight ever, Eric. They are really knocking them. They're bouncing them off the back door of the bar. Nicola. I think I dated her in high school. Nicola. And Nicola, which actually was, I think, part Tesla at one time, but Nicola is a company of their own. The guy's name was Nikolai Tesla, by the way. So that's where the Nikolai comes from. Battery, electric, and hydrogen-powered truck maker Nikola Corp said Wednesday it plans to invest $50 million in cash and stock in a hydrogen energy project in the Midwest. We're heading for Terre Haute. The project involves a gasification plant in West Terre Haute, Indiana, acquired in 2016 by the Wabash Valley Resources, which intends to convert it to a hydrogen production plant and carbon capture project. In exchange for its investment, Nikola will take a 20% equity interest. So they're involved. Their 20% is a fifth. That's big time. The project will use solid waste products such as petroleum coke combined with biomass to produce hydrogen. I keep saying nitrogen. The hydrogen will be used for transportation fuel and baseload electricity generation, according to Nikola and Wabash Valley Resources. In other words, they're in bed with the Wabash Valley. Anybody who's been to West Terre Haute, the Wabash River runs through it, and they're in the River Valley, I guess. They call it the River Valley. Nikola says the hydrogen hub will allow it to allow it to off-take about, what did they do that for? About 50 tons per day to supply future dispensing stations within 300 miles. Nikola indicated it may need to invest more to build liquefaction, storage, and transportation services in Indiana and across the Midwest. Here comes hydrogen power, guys. Here comes hydrogen power. I've been preaching this. How long have I been preaching this? I've been preaching hydrogen fuel cells since day one. I'm not against electrical cars, electrification of cars. I'm not against progress of any kind, I believe the future is hydrogen. When you burn hydrogen, they're going to use waste to make hydrogen. The basic premise for this is to use up some old Coke and a bunch of other stuff. Not that kind of Coke, Eric. They're using up a bunch of old Coke. You say that to a young person, they're going, no! Throwing all the Coke away.
I gave you that look. I'm like, what?
What are they throwing Coke away for? They're going to use all this dead stuff to make hydrogen instead of a coal furnace to make electricity. You know what? You got to look at it the way I look at it. As I'm putting all this together, it all adds up. The evidence is all there. Everybody is positioning themselves. They're posturing themselves. They're getting ready to sell you an electric car or a hydrogen fuel cell car, or they're getting ready to start developing. They're going to be tired of this already, and they're going to start doing autonomous vehicle development. It's here. They're driving them in other countries. Not driving them. They're driving themselves in certain other areas in the country and other countries. They are driving them. They're driving themselves. But these are totally autonomous vehicles, not like the Tesla. The Tesla is driver related. It has to have a driver safety man at this point. Their autopilot is not what it says, autopilot. Their autopilot is semi-autopilot, and that's why Japan made them recall them. No news yet about the United States making them recall them. We'll see what the NHTSA finally says to them. But that, I think they made them, I think at one point, didn't I report they made Tesla turn it off on all cars? They just, over the air, they can do that. They can just flip a switch, and just like people, you want people controlling your life, guess what? This is what we're talking about. They're going to make you buy their kind of car. They're going to make you take care of this environment. And then they're going to tell you what you're going to spend. Then they're going to tell you what insurance you can have. And then they're going to tell you this. And then they're going to tell you that. And when they're done, the automotive world as we know it will be completely reversed, and you won't know what, you won't own anything. You won't have a say in anything. Trust me. The way this is going, I put all this together, and every little piece points in a bad direction, Eric. It points to the fact that maybe Big Brother is watching too much. If you think about the autopilot being turned off by a switch in Detroit or somewhere in California, some guy programs, dink, hits the button, and nobody's got autopilot anymore in the United States.
I think this is a perfect conversation to have. If we create our own little podcast, talk about Big George after drive or something, late night drive or something, with the conspiracy theories that we're going to have.
Or there's no kids involved.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't want to scare our children.
Exactly, but I agree with you on that one.
I'm worried that this is that's a lot of control. Who's to say that they don't know that if I stop at the donut shop, or what if I went to a bar? What if I went to a bar of ill repute? She who will be obeyed will get a red light or something, get a notice.
There's going to be apps on your phone tracking you and stuff.
I know.
It's already happening now. I know some cars, they have apps for their car where you could turn off the car with your phone.
Oh, yeah.
Unlock it, do all that type of stuff.
I have that on my...
You have yours too?
I can start my car from anywhere in the country.
So, I mean, if it starts now with your phone, imagine, later on when it's electric and somebody else is dealing with it. Dealing with it.
But who's got control of all that? See, it's in the cloud, right?
It's in the cloud.
Yeah.
Whatever that means, but it's up there.
Yeah, I know a young man that just quit his job and started selling space in the cloud, and he's a multimillionaire now. Whatever that means. I don't know how you sell space in a cloud. And I didn't ask, okay? Speaking of Tesla, we got to talk. 928 Car Guys, if you want to weigh in on this. You can always weigh in anytime you want. Panasonic, who was a big supplier or big partner of Tesla, has sold their entire Tesla stake for a $3.6 billion windfall. Hello. Panasonic Corp said sold its entire stake in electric vehicle maker Tesla Inc. for about 400 billion yen. Hello? That's $3.61 billion. Hello. Whew. Wow. In the year ended this March, a spokesman for the Japanese company said on Friday, the sale comes as Japanese conglomerate is seeking to reduce its dependence on Tesla and raise cash for its other investments. Panasonic's battery business is dominated by Elon Musk's Tesla, but the two firms have had a tense relationship at times, with executives trading barbs publicly. In other words, they're cussing at each other in public. The stake sale will not affect the partnership with Tesla, the Panasonic spokesman said, and was made as part of a review of shareholdings in line with corporate governance guidelines. The sale comes as the automaker is diversifying its own battery supply chain. Let me just tell you, Panasonic is cutting and running from Tesla, and it's going to make I don't know who's going to buy Panasonic's lithium-ion batteries. Lithium-ion is going over Niagara Falls in a barrel. It's done. Lithium-ion is the thing of the past, and they've got to come up with a better rule, and they have several other better battery packs.